you just explain something to me quite interesting? What was that?
Well, I'm writing Temple General. I just started, but I also have to take into account the book that follows it, Warrior King, because the events of one fold into the other, and then there's a larger connection to the Heir to the Crown series, so I had to figure out how all that was going to connect.
And how did you do that?
Basically, the characters in the Power Ascending series have their own resolution, but then they become part of the grander war that's being developed in Heir to the Crown.
Heir to the Crown. And do you keep notes on all these different battles and
Oh
timelines?
yeah, I've got lots of notes. Lots and lots of notes.
And do you keep a timeline?
I do, actually. I was working on the timeline today because I had to make sure all the dates and everything synced up together to make sure all the series tie in together properly. Of course, it's been a long time in the making.
And the other day, before you started Temple General, didn't you mention that you actually had their ages wrong?
Yes, that's nothing that's going to affect the overall story. I just had to make sure I understood what ages each character were at each particular moment in the storyline.
And do you track all the major characters from all the books in your timeline, age-wise?
Yes, all the major characters where age is going to be an issue. So for Heir to the Crown, that's Gerald, Beverly, and the Queen. And then the Frozen Flame is done now, so I don't have to worry so much about that, but those were tracked. And of course, for Charlene, Danica, for the Temple books, and Ludwig.
Well, when you say you don't have to track the Frozen Flame anymore, that's not quite true, is it?
Well, not for the current books I'm working on. There will be another series that follows on from the Frozen Flame called The Duality of Magic, but that takes place in a different time.
In a different time, and also you'll be writing that probably this fall.
Yes.
And how long do you think it'll take you to prep the series to write the first book?
A little bit more time for the first book because I have to develop the entire series. I've already got a rough outline for 8 books, but I'll need to put a lot more detail in those to make sure I can manage the storyline. It might end up being 6 books, or like I'm not sold on 8 books. That just happen to be where the rough outline led.
Have you ever done less books than you expected?
No.
Have you ever done more than you expected?
Yep.
Didn't The Frozen Flame start out as 2 or 4 books?
It's supposed to be 4 books. 2 books centering on Athgar and 2 books featuring Natalia's backstory, but it ended up being a lot more complex. Characters sometimes take over, you know.
Sometimes?
Well, almost always.